Before Halloween really kicks off, I thought I would do something today which is very simple, easy and cheap to recreate. Now what I have here is a packaging peanut, and I'm sure you've seen these tons of times in any parcels that you've bought online. You want to take one of these and you're going to cut it up into little thin slices, and then you want to pick one of the slices that's going to fit the best with your nail. So I've picked one and I'm going to flatten it out, and then I'm going to make sure that it fits the shape of my nail. If you have to, you can cut that away to the right size if you want. After that, I'm then going to move on to eyelash glue, and you're just going to apply this all over your nail, and then you're going to stick down that little packaging peanut slice that you've done and just pop that over the nail and press it down. Wait for it to dry. If you find that the edges of the nail are a little bit too wide for the rest of your nail bed, then just trim that down. And then I'm going to be using some Sculpt Gel just because I really want to get into the hang of using it again, but you can also use eyelash glue. It will have exactly the same effect. You just want to build it up around the nail edge. Make sure that the edges are blended, and then I'm going to have a little tear which is going to lead down from the nail bed. And while that is drying, I'm going to take some reddish brown eyeshadow and start covering up the packaged peanut with that. And then I'm going to use a black right at the very root. You want to try and wiggle this into the very corners. If you can, use a smaller detail brush, but you could use something rougher if you want. And then I'm going to gradually build this up to create a gradient, and don't forget to add some of that colour underneath the nail. Of course you could leave it just like this, but just for the sake of doing something properly, I'm going to be adding some black shading underneath as well. After that, I'm going to move on to a blush to tint the edges of the nail. If you don't have this, you could either use a red lipstick or just skip this step entirely and then just move ahead onto a red food colouring or fake blood, whichever one you have. Today I used some blood paste just because I wanted to get the hang of it and see how well it worked, but you can skip this part entirely. This was just me having a little bit of fun. If you don't have any blood paste, you can just go ahead and use some red food colouring, which is what I'm going to be using here. And I'm going to be using a nail art brush. Now the reason that I like this particular nail art brush is that it's a little bit splayed out. It's not very good for creating a neat clean line, but it's very good for creating a very natural rough edge, which is what I'm going to be using it for. Once I've done that, I'm going to move on to a blusher, and what I want to do is I want to stain the end of my finger so that it looks like maybe the finger is starting to rot a little bit. So what you want to do is to make the end of your finger look much darker than the rest of it, and a colour that doesn't work very well on your own natural skin tone. Then I'm going to go over it again just to cover up the edges with some red food colouring, and don't forget underneath the nail as well. And then that's it, you're done. You've got a nice, disgusting Halloween nail, and here's the best part. If it hits anything, it doesn't matter. You can bend it, squeeze it, so long as you don't pull or tear it, it will be absolutely fine.